Riley will be here with all the weekend sport. First though, let's remind you of the main news. And America is preparing to mark the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, which killed nearly 3,000 people in New York, Washington and Pennsylvania.
An official memorial to those who died is to be unveiled at the site of the World Trade Center, whose twin towers were destroyed in the attack. Steve Kingston is there for us this morning. Steve.
Yes, we can show you that memorial down there at Ground Zero site behind me.
3 in the morning.
Resplendent
in New York.
In the Manhattan nights. This is one of 2 reflecting pools which have been built literally in the footprints of the Twin Towers. And in a few hours from now, President Obama, former President Bush, Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of this city, will all gather together with families of the almost 3,000 people who died in America on this day 10 years ago. There'll be a now familiar ritual, the reading of the names of the victims, poetry read by Mr. Obama and Mr. Bush. There won't be any big political speeches here in Manhattan this morning, and it's all taking place against a backdrop of very, very tight security. It'll be a ring of steel around Lower Manhattan because in recent days the authorities here have received that intelligence tip pointing to the possibility that Al-Qaeda is planning another attack.
No, they were bound to, weren't they?
Washington, D.C.
Steve, thank you very much.
Remembrance services will also be held around the UK today to mark the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Wreaths will be laid at the Memorial Garden in Grosvenor Square near the US Embassy in central London. Services are also planned at St Paul's Cathedral and in Birmingham, Truro and Exeter.
Other news and trade unions have urged the government not to be swayed by pressure from the big banks.
Well, that's today. Today is the September the 11th, 2011, and exactly 10 years ago, 2 aircraft or something similar crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. A little bit soon after that, a projectile of some kind crashed into the Pentagon, and obviously there was a huge loss of life. I think nearly 3,000 people died, and today there's going to be a memorials for those people. And of course I share in the horror and the upset and the grief that everyone else does. And I dispute absolutely and vehemently this nonsensical and insulting idea that the only way you can be sorry for what happened to those poor people on September the 11th is to believe the fairy tale that some dying man in a cave in Afghanistan did it with the help of a few, amateur pilots who turned up at the last minute and got on the planes. I'm beginning to wonder, and so is Austin, that maybe we shouldn't have come to the ASSAP conference this weekend for this reason, because it is the 10th anniversary of 9/11. There are several other events, there are truth events going on this weekend, which we should have attended. Now, contrary to popular belief, these truth events are in no way going to interfere with any of the official memorial events or services at the various churches and other places. These completely independent events. One of these is the End of Fear, which is going to take place in Parliament Square, which is a long, long way away from Grosvenor Square and a long, long way from St Paul's Cathedral. Now, I thought this was not going to be going ahead because of Charlie Veach. Now, but it turns out that Charlie Veach is not actually the organiser of this event. He was one of the promoters. It's still going ahead, and I was thinking maybe I should have gone along to it. I mean, I originally booked the leave off work to go to that, and I'm using that same leave to go to the ASSAP conference. I assumed it was off. It was foolish of me to do that. So Austin and I came here instead. I don't imagine Charlie will be there, actually. I mean, if he did, it wouldn't bother me, but it would cause an argument. He'd be booed and he'd be hissed by other people, and there'd probably be some kind of row between the Veach loyalists and the Truth movement, and it would turn ugly, and that would spoil the whole idea of what it was there for. I mean, I wouldn't be involved in this. I mean, I have taken a side in this dispute, and I think Charlie's made a terrible mistake. I think he's, I think he's completely deluded, basically. And but I mean, this whole hate Charlie Veitch campaign that's going on ahead. I mean, there's very, very intense and venomous sort of attacks that have been led on him. I don't think there's any point in those. I think they're childish and spiteful, and I think the people who are doing it should just pack it in and leave it be now. He's made a mistake. He's entitled to his opinions. He's expressed them. I think they're wrong. I think he's made a terrible error. I think he's motivated by he's motivated by his own career rather than by what's real and what's not, whether he knows it or not, whether he's doing it subconsciously or not. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, just leave it. He's not a devil. He's not a demon. He's just a silly, narcissistic bloke. And I don't bear any more ill will than that. So for those going along to the End of Fear today, I would say to although by the time you watch this, that event will be over. Just be dignified about it. Okay, if Charlie turns up, just leave him alone. There was an awful television programme on. I've actually reviewed it on her Panmo Voice, and I'll put a link in the description box to that. Which is called the 9/11 Conspiracy Road Trip, where basically they take these people, these very amateurish and not very technically knowledgeable 9/11 truth people, including Charlie, on a trip around America to see the places where 9/11 happened, and see in the presenter, he's a 19er, he's an official story believer. He wants to try and ram it home that they're wrong. He wants to try and change their minds, and he succeeds in two of the cases. There's about 6 of them there, and he succeeds with 2 of the people. Charlie was the first one to be cracked. I mean, it took very little effort actually to make Charlie change his mind. And there's rumours, going around that Derren Brown was somehow involved in this production, or people associated with Derren Brown. So that is concerning. That concerns me if that's the case. Anyway, on to more cheerful events, because it is now Sunday. As I say, it's Sunday, September the 11th, 2011, and I'm at the Seriously Strange conference of ASSAP, the Association for the Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena. And what have we got today? Well, it's I think we might miss that, because it's now 20 to 9. Dr. Hugh Pinkett is on. He spoke yesterday briefly. I think he's the deputy, one of the deputy officials of the ASSAP. And there's Dr. Paul Rogers, Belief in Paranormal and the Misconception of Coincidences. I expect that's something to do with it's a coincidence. Oh yeah, it's amazing. You have a dream every night and it comes true the next day, but it's a coincidence. Paul Devereaux, now he's quite a controversial character. I mean, I don't know much about this guy, but people like Richard D. Hall and that are always talking about him. So I'll be interested to see him. Of Swans and Visions. Now that's going to be something. Now plus, here we go. Host ASSAP funded project update, EVP perceptions with Professor Chris French. Oh my goodness. Now Professor French is someone quite familiar to me. I've met him a couple of times at skeptical events. And a couple of years ago, I very publicly and very vehemently awarded him the Materialist Bravery Award Gold. Now, he is one of only 2 people who hold the MBA Gold in the country, or in the world, actually, along with Susan Blackmore. David Taylor, Heads and Tails, The Strange Case of the Hexham Heads. Now, that'd be interesting. Anne Winsper, The Effect of Paranormal Belief and Positive Psychotopy, whatever that says, on response bias in an auditory electronic voice phenomenon task. Or why the believers may be right. Oh, that's something. Now that... I'm glad they translate that for me. Alan Murdy. I don't know a lot of these people. Mirror Gazing, Oxford University. Well, that's just down the road from me. So I'll be interested in that. Dr. Simon Sherwood. Black dog apparitions. Now, black dogs. A lot of these phantom black dogs have been seen around the country. They go by various names, such as Padfoot, Morrie Doo, and several other names. But they basically They're not sort of like wolves or anything. They're these strange black dogs which they're associated with death and horror. You know, often they're portents of doom. Well, it ends at 5 o'clock, which is something. Which is so, the Paranormal Olympics. Yeah, that was the psychic lab that we went to yesterday, and we both went through did the various tests. I'm interested to see what my score was. Well, that is day 2 of the conference, and I shall let you know how I get on. See you later.